Hi, this is Regina McCann-Hess, President of Forge Wealth Management. And today we are here with our Thrive in Your Health and Wealth segment. And with me again today is Patty Burke. Patty, can you remind everyone who you are and your background and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Regina. It's great to be chatting with you again. So I am a certified health and transformational coach, and I am founder of Whole Body Focus. I work with professionals and parents who tend to put their health on the back burner. I don't know if you can relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, being a parent and a working gal yourself, it's hard to create that balance. And so I help people to reclaim their body confidence, manage their weight, reduce stress, and reduce risk of disease. And I do this through self-care techniques, stress management, essential nutrition, and mindset and behavioral and motivational techniques. So in addition to that, I do work one-on-one with clients. I'm also co-founder of Whole Health, and we are a corporate wellness company based out of Berwyn, Pennsylvania, helping mid-sized businesses really to optimize their employee emotional and physical health, as well as optimizing their work-life balance.
Fantastic. And we're continuing today on the conversation that we had on our most recent video. Can you tell us what we can expect today for our conversation?
Sure. So we'll continue talking about the aspect of thriving in our health during this pandemic and through any stressful time in your life. So I'd like to consider it as thriving rather than surviving.
Much better. Much better.
Believe it
Much
or not,
positive.
it is possible. Yes, so that's what we want to encourage everyone to do. And it truly is possible. And last time we were speaking about the concept of stressful situations, managing change as human beings, and what happens to us biologically, which we talked about the two parts of the nervous system, the sympathetic, that's the stress response, and then the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. That's when we're able to digest our food. That's when we're in rest mode and we're producing our happy hormones. So we talked about, that balance and ways to be able to manage, and we both sides of that.
Right.
And especially we want to increase the parasympathetic. And one way we were talking about that is to create your own pleasure menu. Do you remember what the pleasure menu was all about?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you get working on yours? What are some of the
fun
things that you like to do?
I love to read, and it has to be fiction, and it has to be something that just takes me away. And it really does help decrease my stress. So that is the number one, thing for me on that list.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you nailed it. You said take yourself out of your daily situation, and we're putting our mind into a whole new realm. It's very similar for when people play golf, or when people swim, or they go jogging. And what's key, see, the problem is, though, if we're jogging or riding our bike, we don't really want to have work on the brain. We want to be able to pull all five senses into that experience. So, reading is a little different, or knitting. We have a little task, and that's fine. That's perfect. It relaxes our heartbeat, our brain. But we just do want to be aware for when we are working out or doing art, or doing other activities. We want to just be aware that we're pulling in all five senses. And then that really will pull us out of the worry zone. And it gives our brain...
I can give you personal experience with that. During the first couple months of the quarantine, I was just literally in the house. It was too cold to go out, too rainy to go out. And then finally, once the weather broke, I started walking, and then I switched over to biking. And I hear what you're saying about using those five senses with the biking. By the time I come back from that bike ride, my head is clear.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
reliving everything that I did yesterday at work and what I should
Yeah.
have done or what I didn't get to. It just clears out your head. So I can visually see how using those five senses during a bike ride or just
Mm-hmm.
finding my joy in that bike ride will help that
Perfect.
situation.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it can be a 5-minute break. I call them brain breaks. It's
Yeah.
so important. Our brain can get overstretched like a
Hmm.
rubber band.
Hmm.
And if we keep it in active mode all the time, it will have its breaking moments.
Right.
So we need those times, those little brain breaks. So I want to build upon the idea of the pleasure menu and increasing our happy hormones by talking about how it relates to healthy habits. How does that sound?
That sounds great. I need some
Okay.
more healthy habits.
Yeah. And when I say healthy habits, well, I'll explain a little bit in a minute. But we know that pleasure drives our habit loops.
Mhm.
Okay. Science tells us that. My coaching experience tells us that.
Right.
We are human beings, and we know that pleasure drives our habit loops.
Okay.
So if we change what pleasure is linked to in the brain, then we can exponentially increase our motivation for follow through. Right.
Nice.
So this is one of the secrets to building healthy habits that stick. So linking the pleasure.
That makes sense.
Okay, good. Well, I want to lead you in a self, you in the audience, in a self-examination exercise.
Okay.
Okay. So we can get a pen and paper out. And if you happen to have one nearby.
I do always
Oh,
pen.
okay. Okay, great. So step one is to list your current challenge, your current top 5 challenges due to COVID, the COVID pandemic.
Hmm.
Okay, so these can be around your health. It could be around um, um, organization.
Mm-hmm.
It could be around, clear thinking or productivity, sleep, workouts, nutrition, home life, relationships.
Wow. That's a lot.
Remember, we mentioned the shock of coming out of your normal routine. These normal routines of having a social life, normal routines of going to the gym. Um, so just by a change of routine, that can be a challenge.
Really can be. I think a lot of people struggled with that,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the beginning, and even maybe still do sometimes. It
Yes.
it is something that I realized I was missing. And then one time
Mm-hmm.
I took a ride early in the morning. I had to go get something, and I went back to my habit of listening to a podcast in the morning or a research call. And I felt so much better after I did that because I went back to that routine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we do
Yeah.
lose our routines, don't we? Missed it.
Yeah. And routines are great. We can switch them up
Mhm.
oftentimes, as we age, our priorities change,
Yeah,
our routines change, and that's okay. That's important. That's how we grow. But routines and having a system can also be a way of simplifying our life. It's a comfort to us. So
absolutely.
again, it's important to have them. They make our life efficient and comfortable, but it's okay. We want to be able to learn how to pivot in and out of routines as well. So yeah, so there are many different challenges people are faced with. Financial challenges, do they have to be re-examining? And of course, you're an expert in finances, so I know a lot of people's pocketbooks are being hit these days.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are areas of challenge, um, and then I also want you to list as step 2, then to list a set of goals and priorities. We're going to set up a sort of a top 5 priority list to help narrow in on where people's focus can be right now. And then, you know, a couple weeks down the road, you can relook at that list of priorities and see where you're at, what you want to drop off, and what you've accomplished and what you want to add on. So when we list goals, and this is how we start out with coaching, or once you want to transform anything in your life, it is important to have some kind of vision for what you want for yourself. And this can take time. People we often don't look to set goals because it can seem selfish, or we think that we're being greedy, and that's not the case at all. These can be really helpful, sort of like a beacon of hope,
Mm-hmm.
you know, somewhere to head toward, something to inspire and motivate us, and not to discourage us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're setting goals, we don't really want to worry about the how, you know, how to get there right now, because that can discourage people. You know, we just want to feel what will help make my life better. You know, what do I want to aspire to? Because believe it or not, we can start lining up our actions and our mindset and our behaviors to all be in alignment to ultimately reach those goals.
Yeah. And the act of thinking positively and what your goal would be can help lift your spirit as well, I think.
Exactly. Yes. That increases that happy hormone for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that happy hormone.
I love that too. That's our serotonin. We'll keep that flowing. Okay. So let's talk about priorities. So now we're getting a little bit more slimmed down in our focus for ourselves.
Okay.
Um, and so this is, you know, we can think about what are your most important priorities right now. Okay, so again, this can be 5 to 6 things
Mm-hmm.
that are, you know, non-negotiables, including self-care. Now, we also talked about filling our cup first. That's important. So self-care should always be in there,
Mm-hmm.
but our important priorities can be even more narrow. So it could be meal planning. Like say you haven't been eating healthy or you're gaining extra weight these days. You know, meal planning should become a priority then if we have a goal of weight loss.
Right.
Moving the body. You know, moving our body helps us to not only lose weight, but increases our happy hormones. So movement, I recommend at least 30 minutes a day of increased heart rate type of a movement. So healthy for our soul.
That truly is. It really is. I mean, 'cause you can notice on the days that you do that self-care, you do some kind of activity where you're, you know, exercising or whatever. I seem to think that I feel I have a different outlook afterwards or for that
Exactly.
day.
Do you notice you have a smile on your face, maybe
Mhm.
a little more?
Yeah,
I do.
definitely. It definitely
Yeah.
puts you in the right frame of mind for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So there can be those priorities, and then you can have short-term priorities, like 7 days out. You know, do I have a junk room, a storage room that I want to clear out? You know, so you can layer these priorities according to, you know, mid-range time frame and short term.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, you know, again, it's important to have daily non-negotiables, right? So that's going to be your foundation every day. You know, just like how we brush our teeth in the
Mm-hmm.
morning every day.
Right. Right.
There should be some basic non-negotiables,
Okay.
and then you can spread it out to a weekly.
Okay.
And that so so does
I
that
didn't even
make
think of that.
sense?
That's good that you have daily non-negotiables. I wouldn't have thought to put that on my list. What are my daily
Mhm.
non-negotiables that if I'm going to be successful, what do I need to do every single day to make that part of the success ratio?
Let me give an example. For instance, and science tells us this, having a consistent morning routine
Mm-hmm.
that's uplifting is very important.
Mm.
Sets your day off, setting intentions for your day, whether it's a journal on your bedside or just speak it in your mind. Some people meditate for 5 minutes as they're waking up. Other people will just set 3 intentions. You know, I want to be open and pleasant today. You know, I intend to listen better, you know, to other people. I intend to get this done in my day. So that's setting intentions. Another thing is have a quick win for yourself. My win is to quickly make my bed. You know, I know that I'm leaving a neat room, a nice bed to hop in at night. My quick win is to just make my bed in the morning. Other people have other ways. Another way is cold, for 2 seconds, have cold water in your shower
Mm.
on your body, and that gets your circulation going. That's like a quick, healthy win. Um, so other non-negotiables, taking your vitamin supplements, getting out, you know, or moving your body for 30 minutes, or getting your 10,000 steps in, or 5,000 steps, whatever. At least having a healthy breakfast. You know, calling your parents if they're elderly, calling them every day or every other
Especially
day,
now.
especially now.
Mm.
So every day, it's nice to set these non-negotiables
Right.
in place.
Right. No,
Um,
that's a great way to do it.
okay, so
Really
you
is.
can jot those
Okay.
down.
I have notes already.
Good. And then you can jot sort of your weekly or monthly top 5 priorities.
Hmm.
Um, you know, some examples again: meal planning, fitness, or work priorities, financial, you know, keeping a good eye on your finances and your budget. Of course, your children and family responsibilities, home life, spirituality, and connection. Human being connection is very important. Some people are really connected with their neighborhood
Hmm.
or a volunteer group. You know, that goes in as an important priority.
And Patty, do you find that when you're strengthening, you're working on strengthening everything, but as you're strengthening each section, does that help you strengthen the other parts of your life?
Oh, absolutely. We
Yeah, that's
spoke
what I thought.
about this before. Yeah, what I call the big 5 areas of our life, each one affects the other. So if one is off balance or not doing well, all the other ones will be impacted.
Right.
So again, the big 5 are health, relationships, career, finances, and spirituality.
Right.
And if one isn't going well, for instance, the relationships.
Hmm.
If someone is in solitude, um, we don't live that way as humans. We
No,
literally would curl up in a ball and not be able to survive.
I
That
agree with
that's
that. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
you know that's how important all those big 5 are that we need to have as humans, and we try to optimize them and balance them as best we can in our lives,
Hmm.
and that leads to true vitality.
Hmm.
Um, so So let's talk about what throws us off balance. It's all great. We're talking about setting goals and priorities, and we have all great intentions now, right? What could possibly throw us off in life? Would you ask me, right, Regina?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can think of about 20 things off the top of my head, but I want to hear your answers.
Well, what I can put it name it in a nutshell, and it's called sabotage.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, unfortunately there are sabotaging effects that can happen in our life. And that can throw us off our game. It can pull us unknowingly. Sabotage can pull us off track regarding our goals, regarding our food, our exercise, and staying focused on our own healthy goals. So, where does sabotage come from? Comes from about 3 general areas.
Yeah.
Comes from our environment, from the people around us, and from ourselves.
Been
Okay.
there, done that.
So, so let's break this down a little bit. When I speak about the environment around us, we want to think about what are we consuming in our five senses every day? You know, what is our level of consumption of our visual? You know, what are we seeing in front of us? Do we constantly have the TV on in our face, or are we constantly on YouTube perusing? Are we constantly, you know, on our laptop perusing sales and retail merchandise? Are we hearing? What are we hearing? Are we hearing news all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Are we hearing anger and screaming?
Mm-hmm.
Are we, you know, so think of what we're touching. You know, what's in our environment? Are we touching beautiful flowers? Or are we touching, you know, destructive things, you know, cigarettes and
Mm-hmm.
whatever?
Yeah.
What are we smelling? So all these things affect our mood. They affect our well-being. And the environment can be sabotaging. What are we stocking in our food cabinets? Is it a bunch of chips and Doritos and processed food? That's the environment around us.
Right.
You know, what's in our refrigerator?
Right.
So what are the restaurants that we're going to? Okay. So the people around us, that's the who. Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Are they unsupportive friends? Are there demanding coworkers? Are there gossipy situations? You know, these when we put ourselves in those situations, then we're taking on the bad habits that those people have, because we as humans have this need to fit in. We adapt very easily. It's okay to want to fit in. That helps our comfort level, but we don't want to be taking on the bad habits of bad characters around us, so to speak.
Right. And you not only taking them on, but you don't want them draining you of your energy, especially your good energy. And,
Exactly.
you know, you
Yeah,
just have to sometimes say it's okay to leave a friendship or relationship if it is bad energy for you and it drains you of your good energy.
exactly.
You have to do what's healthy for you.
Yeah. And some people are, it's hard to get over that hump because their old beliefs are holding them back.
Mm-hmm.
Or the what ifs. What if I lose that friend, or lose this sense of you know, whatever it is that's really destructive in your life. See, some people, you find it hard to step away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we have to feel empowered. We have to be centered in our beliefs and feel confident and healthy. And there is a way to get there. It's letting go of the old and bringing in the new for the
Yeah.
beliefs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to dig into there
Yeah, I
through
can imagine.
coaching and there's a way to do it.
And you got to peel. There's like, as soon as you get through one layer, it's like an onion. You just keep peeling
Yes,
the layers, and you just you're still dealing with stuff. I can imagine how long it takes to go through that process.
exactly.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
So the other area, the last area, third area of sabotage is ourselves. And ourselves, it can be our stories. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it can be our own self-sabotage through fear, you know, being scared of a situation, being
Yeah.
scared of the what ifs,
Mm-hmm. And
um,
even scared of success.
scared of success,
Yeah.
exactly, as to how it will affect you and other people around you. Um, you know, it's amazing how we can be distracted and easily talk ourselves out of a situation, um, and uh, and it could lead to sabotage. Here's one scenario of of, of a type of self sabotage, when something else always seems more important, is what I title it. So real quick, you know, if you're about to prepare a healthy dinner,
Mm-hmm.
or you're about to lace up your sneakers to go for a workout, and then all of a sudden your brain loads up with your to-do list, okay? Or there's a distraction going on, or someone all of a sudden called you on the phone and interrupted you, or your child is yelling for you, which is, you know, not an emergency.
Right.
Um, it's easy to rationalize why we can all of a sudden skip our commitment now, because the logical side of our brain kicks in to convince ourselves not to do it,
Right.
not to do it for yourself.
Right.
Oh, it's so much easier. It's easier to get off course and to go with instant reward. So like grabbing the frozen pizza or the processed food and not going ahead with your prepping, or skipping your workout because, I thought of that to-do list. I really have to take this half hour and do X. Well, not really. No, you
Oh,
know, because 5 minutes ago you didn't have to.
right.
And so we do have that ability, again, to give ourselves permission, to make our own decisions. And as we know, as we talked about, our actions and behaviors create our reality. And so we just want to keep everything in alignment, that keeps us on course.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do all that by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So using a coach like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you can help guide people through those pitfalls and help them find better skills at coping through those
Absolutely.
skills.
Yeah. Coaches really help people in short term. Usually
Mhm.
it's a 12-week,
Mhm.
because they say it's 12 weeks to create a new habit or
Right.
to lose an old habit. And what coaches do is we help people to set up the right system, support, and accountability for themselves. That's really the three key aspects of coaching that helps to um, have help people to transform and
Mhm.
create something new in their life.
Right, right. But they do all the hard
Yep.
work. And
Yeah.
you're just there to
Yep.
keep them on the rails. That's
Exactly.
what your role is.
Yes. It's
That's,
all about just creating 1% change for yourself every day. And then those changes add up to
yeah.
creating a whole new lifestyle and new
Wow.
habits.
That's excellent. I think that could be so
Yeah.
helpful in so many ways for many of our listeners. And I
Yeah.
encourage everyone who is listening today, if you didn't write down those notes that
Yeah.
Patty was talking about, like the step one, the step two, your vision, things like that, go back and re-listen to that and write that down and go through that exercise. I was, even while we were live here doing this, I wrote down some notes, like what I'm supposed to do so I can go through the exercise myself. So I think that's really
Good.
helpful. I hope people
Glad you like.
will use the
Mhm.
exercise to help themselves, because that's what this is about.
Sure.
We're here to find ways for everyone to help themselves, especially through this pandemic.
Absolutely. And I'm always available for them to dive deeper, if they wanted to, take anything that you've heard. If anything resonates with people, feel free to reach out anytime.
Yeah. Is
We can
there
chat.
anything
Yeah,
else that you wanted to make sure you added in towards the end here?
sure. So, yeah, so let me just wrap up with a few keys to success, so to speak, and a few tips to leave you with in order to thrive, during this pandemic or during a time of unease
Mm-hmm.
or stress. So, a few keys, a few tips. Taking time for yourself, filling your cup. Take that time for self-care. Take time to slow down, to have periods in your day of silence. It could be a couple minutes, it could be 10 minutes of reflective, um, intentional, reflective brain breaks, so to speak.
Yeah, you need that.
Um, yeah, exactly. It will help open up your lines of creativity in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, remembering about forgiveness and gratitude, and dropping any judgment about yourself and other people. So
True.
that will allow, does that resonate? Does that make
Oh
sense?
God, yeah. Because you know what? You don't know
Yeah.
what happened to that person already today. You don't know what they're dealing with. And they may have just annoyed
Exactly.
you, and it could be something stupid, or it could be something really hurtful or annoying. They could have had, done something,
Mm-hmm.
wrong to you. But I always think, when I'm having one of those days where people are, for whatever reason, out to annoy me, because it's really me.
Mhm.
I'm just an annoyed, I'm just in that kind of a mood. I just try to
Right.
step back and say, okay, well, what don't I know about what their day was like? What are they dealing with at home? And
Mhm.
anytime I start feeling sorry for myself, whether or not it's real or perceived, I try to think of the people in my life who I know are having daily struggles, and I
Exactly.
just say, you know what? I can't complain because they're dealing with this and they're moving forward every single day.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think if we all had a little bit of a thought pattern about taking ourselves out of the situation,
Yeah, you're right.
maybe we would get along a little bit better.
Well, also science tells us that when we practice gratitude, when we give a compliment to somebody, or we say thank you, we show appreciation, guess what? It increases our happy hormones.
Right, right. And it makes both people
Yeah,
happy. It makes you happy
exactly.
for showing the gratitude, and the person receiving the
Yeah,
gratitude gets that happy
yeah,
moment too. So that's a win-win for everybody.
you're right. You're right.
Excellent.
And so I'll tie things up speaking about healthy habits to bring this full circle. So, as we discussed, healthy habits lead to a routine, which then leads, when we're in a routine, it leads to a comfortable mindset, right? And things just feel easier. If we have these non-negotiables,
Right.
things are just feeling easier to us as humans. And once you have this type of foundation, you'll then become more resilient for when things get tough. This could be with any loss or a life change. We will then rebound quicker, much quicker, if we have this steady routine and foundation in place, and we build up our resilience. So
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Absolutely awesome. So if anybody
great.
wanted to get a hold of you, Patty, how do they find you again?
I am at wholebodyfocus.com. That is my coaching website. I'm also at wholehealthco.llc.com, and that is our corporate wellness company. Yeah, and I can be reached on, I have an Instagram, Patty Whole Body, and of course, I'm on LinkedIn, Patricia Burke or DeLuca Burke. I'm not sure what my listing is. I'll check that out.
I know my LinkedIn's like my whole name. So I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I forget if I put my maiden name in there, but Patricia Burke for sure.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
great. Thank you. Thank
yep.
you for sharing with us. It was very, very helpful. I'm definitely going to put
So
some of these, exercises into practice, and I hope that everyone
great.
else who is watching also, has the ability to take some time to fill their cup and find their joy as well, so that we can continue to thrive in our health and wealth. Thank you for joining us. I'm Regina McCann Hess, President of Forge Wealth Management. You can find me on LinkedIn as Regina McCann Hess, and Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth. And of course, my website is forgewealth.com. Have a great day.
Perfect.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.